gentlemen, welcome to another show here at Context at NoHoThePlace.com. Tonight we got a special guest. Actually, when I was reading his background, he is known as the go-to guy on the West Coast. He comes from a company called Uniforce, and he's going to explain a little bit about that. But before we get into our interview, let's take a quick little break and at least give some time for the people that help us produce this show, one of our sponsors. Welcome back. Again, like I said previously, our special guest is Paige Milliken from Uniforce, and he's going to tell us a little bit about where he came from and how we actually came to meet. Actually, we'd like to thank Adam at IO Industries for that pleasant meeting. But let's go back. And again, Paige, thanks a lot for coming out.
Yeah,
now,
thanks
you
for
come
having
from
me,
a long
Mark.
distance. I mean,
Yes,
here we are in North Hollywood. You're from where?
I'm headquartered in San Diego. Our company, Uniforce Sales and Engineering, is headquartered in Fremont, California, up in Silicon Valley.
So have you been in Silicon for a while? I mean, are you guys one
Yeah,
of the...
about 20 years. We're a full-service engineering and distribution company specializing in imaging solutions.
Now, when you say imaging solutions, I would assume Silicon Valley, we're not talking Panasonic cameras and JBLs and so on and so forth. Oh, I think maybe JBL might have some. What kind of imaging equipment are we talking about?
Mainly, it's machine vision cameras. We're just starting to get into the motion picture area with the HD cameras, but we put cameras in space. We just put cameras on Virgin Galactic's new spaceship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, both inside and outside the cockpit.
Oh, my God.
We've got cameras on the space station.
So then what you're saying, when you say cameras, I'm thinking of the traditional, 1 foot by 6 foot by 8 inch box. You must be talking about some pretty small cameras.
These are very, very small. Our HD SDI camera is literally about the size of a baseball. I mean, it's very, very, very small. And we have cameras now that go down to lipstick size, but they're high resolution,
Correct.
low cost, full functioning cameras.
Now, when you say your offices are in where is it again?
Fremont, California.
Fremont.
Silicon Valley, basically.
Okay,
right by
Silicon
San
Valley.
Jose.
So you guys actually develop not only the technology, but the software and the actual hardware for these products, correct?
Yes, we do a lot of integration. This particular product comes from IO Industries. They're in the Americas. They're in London, Ontario. We also represent several other lines of cameras and various types of DVRs and all the peripherals that go with good imaging.
Well, one of the things that the way we met actually is I had an opportunity to go to Cinegear here in Hollywood, and I was looking at the cameras because, as you know, our company is still new, and what we're trying to do is stay on the cutting edge. And at the same token, because the studio is so small, even though we do have a green screen and we've used it for a number of different things, I wanted something small and compact, and I happened to meet Adam. I guess he's a head representative for head salesman.
For the Americas.
For the
Yes,
Americas,
he's the manager
right.
for the Americas.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had a marvelous conversation, and I said, well, listen, I'd like to know more about the cameras. And he actually said, Adam said to me, well, you got to see our go-to guy on the West Coast, which was Paige. So when I called up, I think you were actually doing something for the military at the time when I called you, and we hooked up. I told you my problem, and you sent me some information. As a matter of fact, we have one of the cameras that we're going to test out this week. I couldn't believe how small the doggone thing was.
Yeah, it's a very small camera, and it's what they call a POV camera. And they use it on shows like Top Gear UK. They'll put them up on the dashboard looking at the driver. They'll put them on the outside of the cars, on motorcycles, helicopters, anything that moves.
So it's got to be a solid state camera. There can't be any real moving parts in it because we're talking major vibration. We're talking a lot of shifting in weight and inertia, I guess. So you take that all into consideration.
Oh, absolutely. We sell a lot of these to the military, and the temperature specs, vibration specs are all very, very strong. We just had a camera at Marshall Space Flight Center tested up to 1,500 Gs. I mean, some of the stuff is in pretty rugged conditions.
Now, since you're making your first step into kind of like the cinema industry, which is kind of like a closed industry in a sense, and I was excited when I was looking at some of the specs on the particular camera that you folks sent me was the flare. Now,
Yes.
that particular flare, I noticed that it said that it could do up to 240 frames a second.
Yes, it'll actually go over 300 frames a second. There's a version of it that will do
Higher.
high speed,
Wow.
and then you're able to slow it down. We do sell that to the military as well.
Sure.
They use it for weapons testing of various types.
So you could actually see the speed of something at 240 or 260 or 300 frames per second. We could really slow things down
Yeah, you can watch things explode and
slowly and go back through.
Yeah.
You know, one of the tech guys was actually showing me when they connected up to hardware, and it seemed pretty easy to be able to get that information off the camera into our systems. So is your company part of that, or is there an intermediate company that you work with in order to do I guess, the image capturing, I
Yeah.
guess is the term?
A lot of the images are moved to solid-state drives, SSDs, and then they're very easy. They can be read by Macs or PCs or all types of devices. Some of the high-speed image files are large, but
Sure, that makes sense.
but they have docking stations, and basically you can pull out the shuttles and put it in the docking station. It'll download.
Well, I know that you brought some of that, and I've got my crew here. They're going to be shooting some pictures of it, and we're going to run some tests with it. And actually, I'm kind of excited because the whole concept. Well, you know and I'm going to tell the audience that I put Paige in a tight spot because when he sent me the camera, we had, for whatever reason, didn't talk about the reality of analog versus digital.
Yeah.
And boy, you know, talk about a guy being so apologetic. And again, Paige, thank you very much.
Sure.
All our equipment in this facility right now is analog. And with the realization of what this camera can do, we're going to try to outfit our whole system to go totally digital, which is going to give us much more speed, a lot more space, and really be up to speed with what's going on out there in the cinematic world. But you brought in just the other day a small monitor, and that monitor, the way it was set up and configured, you got that from what company? That was a
Atmos.
Atmos.
They're basically from up in the San Francisco Bay Area. They have a very small monitor along with the docking station. It can work with battery. It's a very small monitor, very small recorder. And they have solid-state drives inside, and you can record and set up your camera very quickly. You know, you can do it on a car. We do them on motorcycles,
Sure.
all types of vehicles. And just basically when you're done, pull out the solid-state drive and you know, plug it into a Mac, and away you go. It works with most of the editing packages, and
well, you know,
provides a real nice solution.
Talking about that, I was talking to one of the tech guys, and they had said to me that with that particular device, the Atmos, and your camera, that we could selectively grade an area to control the exposure in a certain area. Is that true?
Yes, there's a little handheld control. You can do auto exposure. You can do automatic white balance. But with the exposure, it's kind of nice. Like we did a Yamaha commercial, and you're able to basically pick the area you want the exposure control on. And we picked the face. So as this gentleman was on a motorcycle and the camera was facing up off the handlebars, as he went through tunnels and past lights and everything, the whole image didn't fluctuate. It stayed focused on his face.
Exposure-wise.
Yeah, exposure-wise, and kept a good solid exposure.
That's interesting.
So you're able to select the time of the auto expose, and you're able to pick an area of interest.
All right, on that note, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Again, I'm with Paige Milliken from Uniforce, and we're talking about a camera that, if all goes well, we're going to have, well, I'd like to have a dozen, but apparently they're short supply, so I'm going to try to shoot for 4 for our company, but we'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back to the second half of Context. Today we have our guest, which is Paige Milliken from Uniforce. And the way we kind of met was because I'm working on a project. And, well, actually, as everyone knows or should know, we're working on a special project called Evergreen Entertainment, where we're working with veterans and giving them the kind of work experience so they can compete out in the workforce. And one of the things that I didn't realize when I was looking up the equipment, that Uniforce is a veteran-operated owner.
Yeah, the president of our company, Ben Castor-Cohn, is a Vietnam-era veteran, and in fact, he still holds a commission.
Oh, really?
I believe he's a captain, yeah.
Oh, you're kidding. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
and he still does intelligence work for the Navy.
gosh,
So yeah,
that's
he's quite a guy. And we do about half our business is military.
Correct,
So
correct.
this fits right in. You know,
Oh,
it's just
absolutely,
perfect.
absolutely. When I was talking to, as a matter of fact, when I was at Cinegear and I was talking to Adam, he had mentioned that fact, and I said, my gosh, do you think he can work with us? And Adam said, absolutely, as long as you get in touch with our go-to guy, Paige.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, you got it. So here we are in this, and actually, from what my technicians are telling me about the equipment, my gosh, the things that we're going to be able to do, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
I'm so
exciting.
It is exciting.
You can shoot in studio. The camera will do all the I's and all the P's, as I say. It'll go up to 1080p 60. It does all the formats. It'll do 3G SDI.
Jesus.
You can shoot in on the
Green screen,
soundstage,
right?
or you can go remote. The guys at Top Gear, put them on cars and all kinds of things. We just did a Yamaha commercial, and they had the camera on the handlebars, down
By
on
the
the
tires
leggings,
and-
and all over, and it makes for a very dramatic.
Well, you know what?
Shot.
The tech guy showed me the equipment, and everything could literally fit into a nice sized briefcase. That
Yeah.
means the camera, the monitor, the docking unit, all your cables, and the whole nine
Yeah,
yards.
it's just could fit in a small case.
Well, I
and
know.
you can shoot for hours. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And everything's solid state and the whole thing. Well, Uniforce is allowing us to use it for a week. We're going to run some tests and probably do some programming with it. And I would be very open to the audience to give us some feedback on that. We're trying to figure out, now that we know that we have unlimited potential, my writers are trying to come up with something that is over the top in that sense. So I'm going to be seeing them next week, and we're going to kind of talk about that. But again, I guess the last thing I'd like to ask you is that you do rent out equipment. Do you rent it out through your San Diego office, or how does that work?
We don't have rental equipment in San Diego. We do up in Fremont, but we're looking. We'd like to make you a rental source for us down here. I think
That's
that would
right.
be
We
excellent.
talked about it. Absolutely. You know what? For all those of you camera buffs, and I'm looking at cinematographers, please contact us if you're interested, because I would be more than happy, if you don't mind, to have even doing a little demo here.
Yeah.
So that at least they can get a feel for it, maybe hands-on. But if we have enough time, we could even probably have some performers here for them. So as a matter of fact, Andrew, make a note. Let's just put that on our work wish, that we can put the word out to some local cinematographers within the North Hollywood area or beyond that want to see something of what this camera can do, and be able to give you guys a real boost in that respect. That
Yeah,
would be great.
it's got a big potential in reality television, in automobiles and in outdoors.
Sure.
Also action sports. But when those people shoot, they want to go now. They need a camera immediately. So we really need cameras on site down here, and someone that knows how to operate them. They're
Well,
fairly easy to operate.
Oh,
It's,
no, what one of my tech guys says, it is easy.
Yeah.
In fact, he couldn't believe how, he wanted to sit there and play, and Okay, well, you got to take your lunch. But nonetheless, again, Paige, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
out. And will you come back?
Absolutely.
Will
We
you come
appreciate
back?
the opportunity.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, that's Mario and Paige from Uniforce for Context. The show, again, this is brought to you by a number of our sponsors, as well as the community of NoHo, NoHoThePlace. Please send us any information or anyone you'd like us to interview on our show. Thanks again from all of us here at Context at NoHoThePlace.